Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Dante's Infernape here. Uh, this will be just beyond review spoilers. I gotta put that in the spoilers. These are the episodes 5 through 8, so the final 4 episodes. Um, had to split it up because the first episode I put out, or the first review I put out, was like an hour and a half, and if we're just judging by the time it would have been like 3 hours, and I didn't feel like sitting up here recording that 3 hours straight and then putting it up and all that. So this will be its own separate video, episodes 5 through 8. Um, hopefully you've checked out the series. I know it's only been a day, but you never know with this stuff. If you haven't checked it out, definitely go check it out. I highly recommend it. Like I said, I'm gonna do the same thing I did with the first 4 episodes. I'm gonna give you the good, the bad, and the ugly, the pet peeves, I guess. Excuse me. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, episode 5. Um, so I brought this up in the other video. Episodes like 5 through 7 really don't hit me as hard as the first 4 because the because I guess the relatability factor for these episodes is really not for me. Um, in my opinion, I think it's more geared towards women, specifically younger women, teenage women that have been through this. Um, I mean, this may affect some guys out there at one point in your life. It's very possible, but these stories seem more towards like female centric, you know, stories and experiences. Which is nothing wrong with that. They were still good episodes, but they didn't give me the impact that the other 4 episodes did. So that's just it is what it is. So episode 5 is called Unfiltered. So this girl named Lily, she's on the Quiz Bowl team. So I guess she's kind of a nerd. You know, she's real smart. Um, and she's kind of like a plain Jane. Like she wants to be. She's not like she's not a loner or a loser. She's just really smart, but she's just a really plain looking girl. She really wants to. She wants the boys to look at her. She wants the other popular girls to like kind of look at her in like a in the same light that the popular girls get. Like they get the shine and the accolades for being pretty and popular. And at that age, you want to fit in, I guess, with the highest tier of people, if that makes sense. Everyone wants to be in the popular club, but when you get into that club, it's not what you imagine. So, word of advice: um, make your own clubs. Don't try to get into the popular club. You don't need to do that. Um, be yourself. That's what a lot of these stories are about. Just be yourself, man. Don't be trying to chase after something. Like they say, the grass isn't always green on the other side. So, and that's what she has to learn. So, essentially, one day she's in school, and there's a substitute teacher, and substitute teacher is, I'm gonna say, is another baddie. There's a lot of, I'm trying. Well, no, well, so there was the principal in episode 1, and then there was the mom in episode 3. She was good looking. Um, was there one in 4? I think the mom was pretty good looking in episode 4 too. And then the substitute teacher is another baddie. There's a lot of baddies. There's, a, lot of, there's, a, lot of, baddies. There's, a, lot of baddies. There's a lot of baddies in this show. Um, when it comes to the moms and the adults. Let me make that very clear. All the older females, chef's kiss, chef's kiss. Um, so yeah, she meets the the substitute teacher, and the substitute teacher kind of takes a liking to her, and she can kind of see that she's kind of down on herself. She wants to be, she's not as happy as she wants to be or as she thinks she should be. So they meet in the hallway, and the substitute teacher gives her a link to this app where essentially it's a beauty app. So essentially what it is you look into you look into your camera phone, and there's a bunch of different settings. So for like eyes and lips and cheekbones and face, and a lot of physical features, right? So she's the first day she gets the app, she tries it out, tests it out. She does like nothing crazy, right? It's like eyes, like eyebrows, nose, and lips, right? And when it's done, she magically changes her facial features change, and she looks like what she wanted the app to make her to look like. So she no longer has the glasses. She has her hair is down and nice looking, and it's nice and straight, and she was all dolled up and pretty, and she starts getting some a little bit of attention and recognition. So the next day she goes to school, and she starts throwing on a little bit more less modest clothing, I would say. Nothing super crazy, but it's a Disney Channel show. They can only go but so far. But she went from her plain old like sweater and jeans and sneakers to like like a lot more, I guess tighter, yeah, I guess tighter clothes, skirts and boots type stuff. And she's getting the everyone staring at her. She's walking through the hall like a supermodel, and all the attention goes to her head. And essentially, as the episode goes on, she gets more and more enamored with the app. And as she's using the app, there's like a little disclaimer that pops up, which is be careful of extended use of the app, because you may have memory lapses and changes in personality. And that's exactly what it is. She didn't heed the warning, and she started forgetting who her friends were. She started acting out. She just stopped. She stopped caring about the quiz bowl and her best friend, who's also on the team. She started neglecting school and just worrying about being popular and pretty. And so, essentially near the end of the episode, she gets invited to a party by this guy, and it's funny because it gets to a point where the app just kind of goes out of control, and she puts a couple settings on there to, I guess, to be more beautiful, and it backfires on it. It actually makes her ugly. Like she thinks she looks good, but everyone's looking at her, and they're looking at her like, what's wrong with your face? Like, they actually, that was actually, some of the kids said that, like, damn, like, did she get stung by a bee? And the other dude said, there's not enough bees on Earth to make that happen. And she, like, her face was like, she looked like like a hot mess. She looked like someone that got too much plastic surgery. And that's the whole point of the story. You can't get consumed by your looks, because eventually it's going to get worse and worse and worse, and you're gonna go deeper and deeper down into the rabbit hole, until eventually it's gonna get so bad where it's gonna look ridiculous on you. I'm a big proponent, in my opinion. Plastic surgery is like a last resort. It should only be used for extreme situations. If your chest is too small, if your backside is too small, if you got something weird with your face, and I'm not talking about some legit facial deformity. I'm talking about like you got a slightly big nose, or your cheeks are too big, or your eyebrows are too small. It's stuff like that where it's like, there's no one thinking about that, bruh. That stuff is so superficial. That stuff, that's not what plastic surgery should be for. Now, if it's all you look. It's your life, man. You do what you want. I don't think you should be doing it. You should be fine with the skin you're in. All right. I mean, look at me. All right. I think I'm an okay looking guy, but I'm never going to go under the knife for what? What does that accomplish? First of all, that's thousands of dollars for something that you may or may not like. You may think you want it now, and then after you get the surgery, and it's like, I don't really care for this, and then you got to go back on the knife to fix it. And that's more money you're giving to these people. And I'm like, no, man. Look, man. Some stuff, some quirks about facial features actually make people more attractive. If you look at like Halle Bailey and Anya Taylor Joy, if you've seen them, right, they have this weird thing with their eyes. Like they're very pretty, right, but they have this thing with their eyes. Like their eyes are like a little. I think it's like the width between between the nose and the eyes, like the width here. It's a little off, I would say, but it doesn't make them any less attractive. I always made the point that them two, they really look like they really do look like sirens, which is funny because Halle Bailey is playing Ariel, but I think she actually fits the role because she actually looks like a mermaid or a siren. They have sirens, in lore have very strange features, right? In their true forms, but they're supposed to be very pretty until you get close to them and you realize what they are. You know what I'm saying? But they never stopped them from being attractive. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like some stuff you just gotta embrace. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, she's at the party and the boy wanted to come up to her and talk to her, but he was really freaked out by how she looked because her lips are like really big. She essentially had that like Kylie Jenner thing going on, but it looked really weird, and like right here in her eyebrows, they were like really swollen looking. Like she looked really weird now at this point. And the guy he was freaked out. He didn't even want to talk to her because he actually wanted to actually get to know the girl. He legit was interested in her. I mean, it did help that she looked pretty, right? But I think that just gets your foot in the door. He actually wanted to sit down and talk to that girl at the party and get to know her. But he was so off put by how she looked, even he left. And then she had this big old breakdown, and she runs to the substitute teacher's house. Well, she has a very nice house for a substitute teacher, by the way. It's very nice. It's crazy, ridiculous. But she runs to the house and because she needs some help to reverse whatever, basically the spell that's going on. Because I'm assuming the substitute teacher is some kind of she's either some kind of witch, some kind of demon, or some kind of like ancient deity. Now I said those three because they fit the description, but those three aren't necessarily the same thing. So she could be either one of those three I just said. But anyway, she gets into the house. She starts walking around because she couldn't find anyone in there. Like it looked like the house was empty, like no one was home. So she gets into the house somehow, and she's just wandering around and it's just showing like what the house looks like. Very nice, very clean. And she ends up walking upstairs because she hears noise. And when she gets upstairs, she walks into a room, and there's like mirrors all over the room, right? But inside the mirrors are like these astral projections of like other people, and it essentially turns out they're souls. So when the substitute teacher walks in and she's like, "What are you doing?" and Lily was like, "What's up with all the mirrors?" and she's like, "Are those people?" and she's like, "No, those are souls." And essentially, she uses the app on, I guess, people that are very insecure on themselves. Essentially, what happens is the more you use the app, the more of your soul gets sucked out of it, which is how she ended up. Her soul is actually in the mirror. So it's basically saying the more basically it's a metaphor for selling out your soul for very um, very like for very superficial what's the word for like for a lot of for stuff you don't really need. Like you don't need to sell your soul for good looks like uh, um, um, what's the word? Not that's traditionally good looks. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, everyone has something about them that makes them that looks good because there's when it comes between when it comes with the concept of ugly and pretty, right? That stuff really is in the eye of the beholder, right? Um, like I said, I've seen a lot of females that have like I've seen a lot of traditionally pretty females, and I've seen a lot of females that I would find pretty that a lot of guys wouldn't find pretty. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I like Halle Bailey looks fine. Anya Taylor Joy looks very good to me. Who else has like a weird facial thing going on? What's her name? What's her name? Audrey. What's her name? Audrey. What's her name? The girl with like the she always got them eyes on her. Audrey. Oh my God, what is her name? Audrey. Not Audrey Hepburn. Aubrey Plaza. There you go. That chick. She looks good to me. Um, Lady Gaga looks good to me. You know what I'm saying? Um, just to name a few. Like a lot of guys look at them and be like, she ain't all that. But to me, I'm like, she looks bad. She looks very good to me. But everyone has different things they're attracted to about people. I found it myself. Apparently, females find me attractive. Who would have thunk it? I guess. But hey, everyone's different. Everyone has something they like and enjoy about looking at certain people. It is what it is. Um, so then when she confronts the lady, um, she finally had an epiphany. Like, look, man, I don't like what I've turned into. So I need to, and I don't like what I've turned. I don't like myself. I actually hate myself more than when I was before. And she learns that, you just gotta love and embrace what you are. You know what I'm saying? So at first she punches the mirror out of frustration, and she finds out that it affected the witch because she gets like a crack on her forehead, and that's when she finds out, oh, this is her weakness. So she takes like there's a fireplace in there, and she takes the little iron stick that you use to mess with the fire in the fireplace, and she takes it and she just goes around, she just smashes all the mirrors and they break, and at every mirror she breaks, the witch or the demon, whatever she is, gets weaker and weaker and weaker until finally she smashes the one of herself, and when she smashes it, she gets her soul back. She goes back to normal, and the demon turns into like ash, like she just dies. She turns to bones and ash, and she essentially she turns back to herself. The next day, oh, so she had actually because of like I said, she was neglecting her schoolwork and everything and the club. She actually got kicked off in like the semifinals. She got kicked off the team. So when they go to the finals in the next day, she's sitting in the stands cheering them on. You know what I'm saying? And oops. And her friend actually became the ace, the quiz bowl ace. So she's up there. Her friend's just killing it, just getting everything, every answer. And she gets to the final answer. She gets it right, and they win the quiz bowl. And she's in the stand, cheering her friend on. Then when she gets out there, she's waiting for her friend outside, and her friend sees her. And, she's trying to congratulate her, and she's also like, she was trying to apologize, for everything she had done, for how she'd been acting the last few days, and she was like her friend was like she didn't know she still it's like she didn't recognize who her friend was. Like, is that really like it looks like you, but is it really you? You know what I'm saying? And she went on. They had a whole conversation, and she was like, um, um, what did they talk about? They had a discussion about something because she really wasn't going to forgive her, but she was. I forgot what they talked. I forgot what exactly they said at the end, but they I think at the end she was like, "Look, I'll give you another chance or whatever, but just make sure you don't do this again," type of thing. Like, I hope you learned your lesson this time, type thing. And then they go off and they walk down the sidewalk, and then that's the end of the episode. And that was the end of Unfiltered, episode 5. Like I said, it was a very good episode. I like the story, but like I said, the story didn't hit as hard as the first 4. Because like I said, I've never really had this issue with like beauty over inner beauty type stuff. Because I'll be honest, I'm a guy. Like, beauty stuff for guys is like the last. Like, our physical appearance is like the last thing we really think about, to be honest. Other than like being, I guess, like overweight. Because in like high school and middle school, I was kind of big. The thing about me though, as I got older, I actually grew into my body, which is a thing. Like a lot of us big guys, we're big when we're younger, because we're still short. But once we grow into our body, hopefully we grow into our body. Everything was a lot more. Everything's a lot more. I guess linear. Everything looks like it's. So let me explain. So when I was in middle school, even in elementary school, because I was still a kid. Like I was a kid in high school, but when I was a kid in elementary school and middle school, I hadn't grown into my body yet. So I was chubby, right? But I was also short. So when you're short and chubby, you're kind of stout looking. But when I got to high school, I grew and I got really tall. So the thing is, when you're a taller guy, you weigh your weight differently than a shorter guy who's got a lot of weight on him. That's why there's always real big difference. Like when you look at a guy like, oh, he's 6'2", but he's 180 pounds. You would think that guy, he's tall and skinny, right? But if a guy was like 5'7", 5'8", and he's 180 pounds, he's either really big, really fat, or he's real beefy and bulky, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's just the way you wear your body. That's like, for guys, that's really our biggest like outer beauty type thing, I guess. It's like with our bodies, like how big we are, like how much muscle we got. That's what we care about. We don't really care about like how our nails look and how our face and hair. That's the last thing I really cared about. Especially at that age, because if you look at my hair, it's kind of thinning right here. But when I was younger, like I can grow my junk like to here. Like my hair would grow out to like here before I pick it. I have to pick my hair now, and it doesn't even get to the half of what it used to get. You know what I'm saying? When I was younger. Let me see. Yeah, it's right here. Don't get old, people. But anyway, yeah, that was a good story. I think my only pet peeve, that it wasn't a bad episode. There's really nothing bad about the episode. It's just kind of a, like I said, this story is more female centric, as in the other stories, like very overall, like anybody can relate to this type of story. Like I said, I'm not saying there aren't guys that don't go through this, but this is primarily a female issue. And yeah, I think that's it for episode 5. only thing. I guess it wasn't enough of the substitute teacher. She shows up here and there. She gives it the app, but then she doesn't really show up again until like the end, before she dies. So I was like, I guess I wish you could have seen more of her, like doing stuff. But I mean, I guess that's the only thing really had an issue with. Episode 6. Oops. Episode 6. We've got spirits. Yes, we do. So, essentially, what this is about, a girl named Ella, um, she is really excited about this class trip to it's a place called the Fox Theater, which is basically like a theater hall type place, where they do live performances and have plays and stuff like that. Um, and she's really excited. And it starts out at the beginning. The mom is driving her to school, and the mom's dropping her off. And the mom is about to say hi to her friend, or her ex friend. She didn't know at the time. She was about to say, "Hey, this is Zoe right there." She's like, "Hey, Zoe," and she was really embarrassed. Like, "Mom, stop." He's like, "What? Isn't that your friend?" And she said, "No." She's like, "Not anymore." And she's like, because the mom she wants to know, like, that she's actually, that's an interesting thing to know. Like, my kid's not friend with that girl anymore. Why aren't they friends? Is there something that happening? And she didn't want to talk about it. So then she jumps out the car and just kind of leaves the mom. Um. And then apparently they're all, because it's a class trip. So her ex best friend is in the class as well. So she didn't want to go to a place where she wants to enjoy herself. Excuse me. And then also have to see her. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of, because it's an uncomfortable feeling. You know what I'm saying? So as they get there, they're on a tour, and then the tour guide tells them about a fire that happened in the 30s, and it took the life of an acting troupe. So they show it on the wall. There's like a memorial of of the 5 people that passed away in that fire. And the Jeez. So after that, the tour guy was like, I think he wanted to show him something, and something happened, and I think she had like a panic attack, so she runs off. It's like, oh, I'm gonna use the bathroom, and she ends up like running down into the basement, and she finds a couch, and she's kind of sit on the couch, to let herself, I guess, get her emotions in check, to like kind of wind down her emotions and stuff. But she ends up falling asleep. And so this is one thing. This is one pet peeve about this episode is they show when the kids are about to leave the theater, they show the teacher, she has a clipboard and she's taking roll of all the kids. And it doesn't make any sense that she went through that whole list and didn't see Ella, and then I guess she skipped over Ella, or I guess she saw Ella at some point and I guess assumed she was with the group or she had already left. I don't know. It's weird. Because you took roll of all the kids leaving, but you still forgot she was in there. So anyway, the kids leave and it's like 4 or 5 hours later. It's like damn near midnight. The theater's locked down. Got chains on the door, and she's downstairs. She had fell asleep on the couch, taking a nap. I guess, well, not she didn't mean to take the nap, but I guess when you get real emotional, you kind of get tired, and you just kind of, when you lay down, next thing you know, you wake up, and it's like 5 hours later, and she woke up, and she was about to check her phone, but her phone died. Another thing, people, even if you're going on like a day trip, either bring a charger or make sure the day before you leave, make sure you charge it up to 100%. at least give yourself a chance. You know what I'm saying? Um, but anyway, I'm nitpicking that. Um, so she gets up and she walks upstairs and finds out the doors are locked, right? And they actually chained the doors shut as well. But I guess with the I guess however that fire, whatever happened with the fire, they never explained like was it like arson or was it just like an accident. They never explained how the fire started. So I'm assuming it's just for security purposes. Um, and because that memorials in there, some people are really weird. They like to vandalize memorials. That's a very weird thing to do. I don't know why you would do that. But anyway, so eventually she's locked in. Which, when you think about it, you should never be locked into a building, right? Because every building has an emergency exit. There's always more when there should always be more than one exit in any kind of building. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's a house, whether it's an apartment, whether it's like an office building, a theater, especially in public places, the schools, universities. There should also be at least one emergency exit somewhere. And they bring this up. I'm gonna get into this later. Um, so what happens is she goes because she's locked in. She like, well, I guess I'll just walk around and I guess check out the rest of the theater. So she walks into the dressing room, and the next thing you know, she sees four she sees four ghosts, and she freaks out when they start talking to her. And they all start talking. They're like, whoa, whoa, calm down, calm down. We're not here to do anything to you. And no, no, no. So what happened was, uh, ooh, it's a good tackle. Sorry, got distracted by this Uncle Sam's reject video. Um, so yeah, they were like, "Oh, are you gonna drag me to the underworld?" Like, no, we just want to drag you on stage. We need another thespian to rehearse this scene, right? So they bring on stage and they give her the script and they basically run the scene that they were running back in the day, and they get to Ella's part and she's kind of just real lackadaisical with the script. There's no emotion behind it. There's no passion. And one of the ladies who was like, she was essentially, I guess essentially she's like the bombshell of the group, and she was getting on it like, hey, you gotta enunciate, you gotta project, because you gotta make sure the people in the nosebleeds can hear you, right? And because she really did not want to be there, she just wanted to go home. She was not feeling it. She had an issue with Zoe, her ex best friend. She was locked in the theater. They all forgot about it. She did not want any part of it. So then the lady possesses her, and it was like, no, 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 don't do that, don't do that, don't possess her. And I was like, what? I'm just trying to help her out. And it's like, no, get out of her. And she's fighting, and then eventually she gave her like, fine, whatever, do what you want. And so after that little spat, um, there was like this weird sound and like this a lot of this supernatural energy that was coming towards the stage. And when it's like the energy manifests into this big old skull, and it comes straight at him. And for ghost, if a ghost is scared of another ghost, that's a bad sign. That is a very bad sign. They hauled ass off stage when they saw that skull. Like, they were terrified, because apparently that ghost had been terrifying them since 1938 when the fire happened. So we talking about almost 100 years. Well, 90 when is 90 what 92? 92, 93 years of just being terrorized by this ghost that's also in the that's also in the theater as well. Now, obviously, if you do deductive reasoning, there was already four ghosts to begin with, and like I said, there was five people that died in the fire. So, deductive reasoning, ding, ding, ding. Yep, that skull was the ghost of the fifth member. Um, but yeah, so anyway, after that, they run and they hide and they kind of regroup, and you learn a little bit more about the group. Like there was a lot of infighting. They weren't much of a group or a team. They were essentially a bunch of individuals that just happened to work together, and that's part of the reason why they were getting haunted. It was weird, you haunting a ghost. Anyway, it was they were just there was a reason why they kept getting the ghost kept coming after them because we find out that the bombshell was like really mean to the girl because she was like I think she was supposed to be the lead, and I guess she just never liked her because there's the bombshell. There's like the brunette who's very sweet and nice. There's there was like the main lead role, and then there was a guy who was like really young, which is so. If you watch the episode, it was very strange to me because at the beginning, when they first meet Ella, right, the real young guy, right, was like he was very in awe of her, like he really found her very attractive, and the main lead dude was like well, hold on there, Tiger, like calm your britches, because he was really struck by her, right? And later on, they have a conversation, and he was like, "Hey, I'm sorry about what happened. It's just been such a long time since I've talked to somebody my age." The reason I'm bringing this up because if you watch the episode, it says Ella is 14, right? So this guy, maybe it's the actual astral projecting effect they're using, but the guy doesn't look young enough to be in this situation. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe I'm missing something. Now, to be fair, a lot of these shows that get filmed, right? Usually by the time they come out, like so, say the girl Ella played a 14-year-old. That girl is probably like 17 now. You know what I'm saying? She might have been older when she played the role. You see what I'm saying? So, but it was just kind of weird. Cause I was like, wait, when he said what? Like someone your age, and I was like, I mean, I guess he would have to be between like 14 and like 17. But he doesn't look like he would fit that age. Now, maybe it might have been like I said, it might have been the astral projecting, the ghost effect they used to show him on screen. Maybe that's like hiding like how young he really is. But I don't know. Or maybe it was just like like a friendly, non-romantic man. I don't know. It was really, really jarring when he said that. I was like, y'all don't look like y'all are really that close in age. Which is this is like I said, this is the second time they've done this in the show. Like I said in episode 1 with the mom, she looked old enough to be a mom of someone like my age. You know what I'm saying? She didn't look like someone that had a 14-year-old. She looked too old for that. But anyway, so essentially they come up with a plan to run essentially finish the scene, right, and kind of get her to come in and then kind of like beg forgiveness and apologize to her for being such crap to her. And so eventually, what's her name? Ella was doing something and she didn't make it in time to actually stop it. So the fifth member is essentially about to destroy the other four until she gets in there and tries to break up, because even in the midst of all this, everyone is still fighting amongst each other, and she gets to the point where she's like, "Yo, y'all need to shut up! like she's like she's real like she's trying to get them to be quiet and listen to her, and they just keep going on and on and on. And eventually, she does what the bombshell lady told her to do. She's got to project. So she screams at them to stop, and they finally stop and they shut up and listen to her. And they're like, "Hey, y'all got to stop. Y'all got to stop fighting amongst each other. How about y'all shut up and actually have a conversation with her to understand why she's doing this?" And then when it actually happens, it takes a while, but she finally transforms from the skull to her what she used to look like. And then she explains like, man, for the longest time I was just like really mad and angry and upset with myself and upset at you guys for how you treated me. It was more towards the bombshell lady, but they didn't do a whole lot to actually mitigate it back then, which is another good lesson to learn. If you see something wrong, you need to say something. Don't let it drag on and on, because then you end up with a situation like this. Not to this extreme, but there's a lot of situations where people will clearly look at something between two people or between a group of people and know it's wrong and not want to intervene. Now I understand that's easier said than done, but in some situations it should always be unfortunately there has to be a breaking point for most situations in life before someone has to put their foot down and say stop. You know what I'm saying? And I think this is what this was also teaching. It also taught it also teaches about I think it also goes into like anxiety and like uncertainty, because she really did not want to perform, because the reason they went to the field trip was because they also had a class project for performance, a class performance. Now, take it from me, I was a guy I hated doing oral projects. They were the worst thing. That like going to school the day of a oral performance. Man, that thing made me nervous as hell. Especially, it hurt the worst when I would have these assignments and I had to perform like the last in like my last two periods, because when I would have these performances, I would be unlucky, and I would have to do it like fourth period, like for the last period before I got to go home. I'm more the guy where I'd rather get that stuff done. So there were a few times I was lucky. I would get like first and second period before lunch. That way I can get it out of my system, get it done. Whew, I'm done. I can eat lunch, finish my day. I'm good. I'm done. Because sometimes people like me, when you're not really good with like public speaking, the worst thing you can do is to have that drag on and on and on, because you know it's going to happen today, but it's going to happen way at the end of your day. So you overthinking, and you're nervous, and you're like, you can't really focus in your other classes because you're thinking about what happens if I mess up on this assignment I got at the end of the day, and it's just a mess. So yeah. Anyway, she finally steps up and kind of takes charge of a situation, and she finally gets them to confront the issues they had. They make up, and it's kind of cool what they do at the end. They kind of they recreate they recreate the scene they were supposed to do, and once they finish, they kind of get like a standing ovation, like a phantom, get it, like a phantom standing ovation. You know, Ellis is clapping, but you can hear like a big old audience in the scene, and then they all kind of like they all move on. Essentially, they all move on to the next life. Yeah. So then the scene after that, it's finally the end of the day, and she's like, let me get out of here. So she goes to the front door, and you see on the next scene, it's like it's the the tour guide, he had like a whole bunch of keys getting ready to unlock the door, and the mom and dad um, are about to they're like really panicking and running towards the door. But the weird thing is, she's already running out of the. She already runs out the door at the end. So I guess I missed it because when I remember I was telling you about the chain on the door. Apparently, one of the ghosts points out to the wall. Well, there's always an exit, and he points to the wall, and there's a big old axe that says "just for emergencies." So I guess I'm assuming she broke the chain early in the night. But I think I guess she had like I guess she had a change of heart and it was like, you know what, let me help y'all instead. So I guess that's how it was. I guess that was how that was rectified because she just runs straight through the door when she sees her parents the next morning, which is, I don't know. I don't know. That was weird. Maybe like I said, I must have missed that part. Like I said, when I got after episode 4, um, the episodes at that point were kind of like they weren't really holding my attention like especially episodes 2 and 3. Those really held my attention. Everything else since then has been like it's kind of like at that point where you can kind of like be on your phone at the same time and not really care if you miss something or not. Um, it shouldn't be the case, but unfortunately, the episodes 5 and 6 they just did that for me. So after that, the last scene is Ella's on. She gets called up front to do a performance, and she's sitting there and she's kind of trying to get herself in check, and she does a thing and she goes to the desk and starts beating on the desk, and she starts making a beat, and everyone in the class starts making a beat, and then she goes into like a slam poetry type thing. It's really cool. And after that, that was the end of the episode. So yeah, that was a good episode. I liked it, but it wasn't as great as the other ones. Like I said, I do like how it focuses on it's another like anxiety and like uncertainty. Also like holding grudges and like not resolving conflict. That's one thing sometimes you gotta when it's like a big conflict, you gotta resolve that as soon as possible. Otherwise, it's gonna linger. And had they had not died in that fire, who knows how long they would have been fighting in real life before they actually were supposed to die. You know what I'm saying? Like naturally. And you don't want to live your life like that where you're constantly bickering and somebody fighting somebody. You want to get that stuff resolved as soon as possible. Because like I said, you never know when it's going to be the last day. You may not never get that chance to reconcile. You know what I'm saying? Now this is a TV show with ghosts, so obviously it's not real, but I understand like what they used it for. It's a different way to get the message across. And I also like it's a subtle thing they go into when it comes to not even just like acting and not even really public speaking, but more of just like being assertive. And you got to know when it's time to get assertive and get loud to get your point across sometimes. Like for me personally, it took me a long time to get to that point where I had to like really, like I gotta really really get my voice up there to get people to listen to me, because sometimes talking to people calm, it's not gonna work. Some people in this world, you gotta get sometimes you gotta get abrasive and assertive. That's just how it is. I remember a coach I had in high school, when we would watch game film, he would go through even in practice too, when we would mess up. And I remember one guy messed up, and he just started yelling at him. And he was like, "No, we're going to do this right," and blah, blah, blah. And the next thing we do, the next play, he runs it right. I think he ran the assignment right, whatever the assignment was. He was like, thank you. He was like, why do you gotta keep getting your head beat in before you learn the lesson? And I mean that's the thing, especially with kids. Kids have to, for some reason, including myself, we all have to get our head beat in before we learn a lesson. But I mean that's just part of life. But yeah, that's a good episode. That was a good episode. 7. And so this also goes into like what I was talking about before with being assertive, right? Standing up for yourself. This episode though, I'm not gonna lie, episode 7, I hate so bad for a lot of reasons. So it's called Standing Up for Yourself. Uh, it's a good story in like what it's trying to teach and what it's trying to come across as. But there's a lot wrong with this episode. All right, so there's a boy. He's 13 years old. Now, he's 13. Named Trevor Larkin. They live in a place called Larkinville. So, Trevor Larkin in the town of Larkinville. Okay? So, his daddy's a big shot. His family's run the town for generations. So, he's like like town royalty, right? So, usually with guys like that, right? The town royalty guy can never do no wrong. And usually they get away with a lot of stuff, right? Because they usually have the benefit of the doubt. Oh, well, he's the son of such and such. He would never do such a thing. The issue with this is, so one of you watch the episode, they say the boy is 13. If you look at him, right, the only time he looks 13 is when stuff goes down, and I'll explain later what I mean. When he first shows up in the episode, that boy does not look 13 years old unless he had a very large growth spurt, which is I guess what they're implying. But you could have found a tall 13-year-old, like a legit 13-year-old. This guy had to be like 17. Going on 18. He was not 13. The guy they had to play him. But anyway, so at the beginning of the episode, this guy just is horrible. He's walking through town. So essentially he wakes up, gets dressed, lives in a big old mansion. He's walking to school, and the first thing he does, he steps in town square. It's like a little park area, like in them really old towns you see in not rural, but like in certain small towns in the United States, they have them town squares where it's like a little walkway and like benches. It looks like a little open park, right? So the grounds lady was working on the she's working on the she's working on the flowers. And the next thing you know, they show this big old boot just step down, smash the freaking flower, and he does it for no other reason than to just be an asshole. And the lady is just like, oh hey there, Trevor. And he lies straight to that lady's face. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. I didn't mean to do it. And she's like, oh, okay. I'm like, lady, are you serious? Are y'all serious? Because there's also a narrator who he tells the story of how this boy has been doing. He does this stuff every day, just torments everyone in the town, and they just let him get away with it because one he's 13. 13, yeah, okay, whatever. And he can do no wrong because everyone's so terrified that if they say anything, and it gets really bad. And the next thing you know, he basically just jaywalks across incoming traffic, just almost causing an accident, shows no remorse. Then there was a guy on the corner street playing the guitar. You know the guy that played the guitars. They got they got their the guitar case open so you can throw the change in it. This fool he takes a big claw and scoops up the money that's in it, the money that he worked for. who knows all day, all week or whatever to get that money, and you just took it, and then the worst thing, he doesn't even pocket it. He takes the money and just tosses it in the air. I'm like, bruh, at that point, you might as well have taken the money. At least it would have gone to something. He takes the money and just throws it up in the air. So he's got coins scattered all over the sidewalk. Oh my god! And then there's a guy. He's working. No, there was a mail lady, and he just, I don't know why, he just kind of just snatched the mail and just oh my god! And then he runs into someone he was working. I think he was painting something on the side of a building, like a not like a designer, but more like, I think it was just like to clean up to make the wall look better. And he just takes the can of paint, just smacks it in his face, and just paint all up for no. He does all this for no other reason than to just he just has a sick. He gets a sick, twisted pleasure out of tormenting people, and he knows no one can stop him because of his daddy. Who, his daddy, his dad is actually not that bad, in retrospect. Now he's not the greatest guy, but then again, they show him for about 4 or 5 minutes, like near the second half of the episode. So anyway, he gets to school, and it's just more torment. It's just picking on kids, and what he did was messed up. This is probably the worst thing he did. So he gets to school, and he has this little henchman dude who's a punk. He's only around him because he has to do what he says. He only does all that so he doesn't get picked on and bullied. So he's like his big old yes man. He's his personal servant, just does everything for him. So these three kids are about their lockers, and he walks up to him, and he's like, he's standing there because he's got to get something from the kids. And one of the guys, he's like, here's your homework, here's your diorama for like third period or whatever, and he gives him all the stuff. And then his stupid lackey eggs. He's an instigator. So he's like, hey, you see that? That boy looked at you. He's like, no, I didn't. He's looking down. He's like, I mean, the boy, he looked at him, obviously. It was a quick peek, but whatever. So anyway, he's like, did you look at me? He's like, no. And he's like, yes, he did. Yes, he did. And he's just instigating him. And so this fool's instigation gets that boy hurt. And it's just a lot of picking on people for no reason. I mean, I get he's a bully, but like he's just indiscriminate with his bullying. It's insane. So, after that, it was like a scene in the bathroom, and it was weird because they got the little man, dude that just came out the stall. I guess the party doing number two. He's just standing there, and the minute he saw that little boy, he was like, "Oh no!" And big old Trevor comes out of the stall next to him, and I'm assuming they swirlied him for no reason. And then they go to gym class, and he takes he's just killing him in dodgeball, and he hit one boy so hard, broke his damn nose, which is completely unnecessary. And then they go to the next scene, and it's the principal and the mom of the kid who got his nose broken, and the mom wanted to press charges and get that boy expelled because he's just a menace. And it gets to the point where it's like, well, look here, ma'am, I can't do this, because if I even suggest expelling this boy, the dad's going to come down on me. I'm going to lose my job, and then it's going to get to the point where, because it's your son, you're going to lose your job, you're going to get evicted, and that's exactly what happened. Because the mom didn't, the principal didn't do anything because she was scared for her job, and I guess rightfully so. In a small town, there's only so many job opportunities. But like I said, at some point you gotta take a stand on something. That boy is just terrorizing people. So the next thing you know, they it goes to the next day, and there's a so keep in mind about the mom with the kid with the broken nose. All right, next day they're in class, and the teacher was doing something, and the freaking he Trevor waved his hand, and the teacher was like, "Mr. Larkin, okay," and he says something snarky about the the topic they're talking about, and then next thing you know, you see this like this scene, you see this there's like there's a kid walking down. He's missing a leg, but he has the mechanical leg or whatever. So he's walking down, and he finally gets to the door, and he walks in. He's like, "Oh, hey, is this so and so's class?" Like, hey, it's like, yeah. Okay, hey, I'm was it Evan? So his name is Evan Berger, and when they find out his name is Evan Berger, he just has like the biggest laugh in his life. Like that was so funny. Like he's like, oh, what's his like Evan Berger? What's his middle name? Fries. I'm like, oh my god, you found that? You thought that was funny? It's that typical Disney Channel young kids humor. That humor wasn't funny in 2003. It's not funny in 2023. That is just corny and it's a very weak joke. It really is. So anyway, he comes in, sits down, and he's still clowning on the name, and then it goes to the lunchroom, and Evan, he's sitting down, he's sitting at the table by himself, whatever. He's about to have his lunch, he's about to take a bite, and he feels his presence, and he looks up, and he's like hovering over him, and then he was like, "Hey, give me your lunch," and Evan has done the most real in this whole show. Evan has done. I'm talking about every episode. Evan has done the most realistic thing that someone should do in that situation. First, he got up and then he questioned him, and he was like, "Why?" And when he said "why," the whole cafeteria got silent. Even the teachers, they were like, "Oh my god, what's going on?" And it got to and then it got to the point where he's like, Trevor was baffled, like, "What do you mean, why?" He's like, "'Cause I said so." And he's like, "No." And then the damn near the whole cafeteria cleared out because they were like, "Oh my god, that guy's got to die. He doesn't care about his health and well being." So then he was like, he's like, then he asked for it again. He's like, "No," he has a little henchman over there. Like, "What do you mean, no?" And he's like, "No, I'm not going to give you my lunch. For what reason? Why should I give you my food? Do you want some of the food? You could have asked for the food, but you demanded it. So no, I'm not going to give you the food." And then Trevor just rage was just building up, and he was about to sock him. And Evan was like, "I wouldn't do this if I was you. I'm telling you right now, you don't want to do this, bro." And I thought it was gonna get to a point where I thought they were gonna get to a legit fight, and everyone was gonna like whip his ass, but it didn't happen. Uh, he kind of just got pulled into him, and Trevor swung one time, and boom, black eyes. And that was the end of that. So the next thing you know, it goes to he's in his house, he's playing the game, and the doorbell rings, and no one gets it because he's assuming one of his maids or servants should get it, and it rings like three more times. He finally gets up from his game, and he was playing. Of course, he was playing like some kind of GTA based game where you can just do anything and everything, which would be that's the game, right? That's the perfect game for him. So he goes downstairs, opens the door, and there's Evan there, standing there, and he's standing with this old lady, and the old lady is his grandma. And the first thing the grandma says when he opened the door, he's like, "What are you doing there?" And she's like, "Did you do this to my grandson?" And Trevor, they try to play coy and innocent, like, "I don't know what you're talking about, man." She's like, "Did you do this to my son?" And he still wouldn't admit it. And then she was like, "Okay, well, I need you to beg forgiveness." And I was like, "Damn, beg forgiveness? Holy shit!" And then he starts getting in his feel like, "Look, lady, calm down. Do you know who I am?" She's like, and she at this point she don't give a damn. She's like, "Look, I don't care who you are. I need you to beg forgiveness and apologize to my son, to my grandson for what you did to him." And he, Trevor's going to double down as the bully. So then she starts saying some words. I guess she's another witch, or a medium or whatever. And she starts saying a bunch of words, and that classic magical effect where the sky start getting darker, and you start getting hear the rumblings and the lightning, and everything starts getting really windy, type thing. And it was really weird because when she was saying that spell, like they showed the whole town, like the whole town knew something was changing because like the wind was hitting everybody. Like they showed the grounds lady, they showed the guitar guy, they showed the guy that was painting, they showed the mail lady, they even showed the principal, which is weird. This I still don't understand. Like how the wind blowing inside unless you got the window open. But anyway, it don't even matter. That's besides the point. That's besides the point. That's besides the point. Anyway, so after she finishes telling the spell, like it really freaked them out, and so she was like, tomorrow, when you wake up, you'll know how it feels, and it just that creeped him out because he had never been scared of no one the whole time, and so he closes the door, and he goes back upstairs. He ends up that night. He's in his room, and then he was looking at some weird YouTube, like a lot. He was a lot of. He was looking at a lot of those YouTube videos, like a lot of fail compilations, and he was just bawling his butt off. Like some of that stuff wasn't even funny. It was just like a lot of it was just like, ouch. Like there's some of that stuff. Some of them fail videos are humorous, and some of that stuff is like, ooh, like just makes you cringe. You know what I'm saying? And he was just laughing, just bawling out every video. I'm like, bro, this stuff is not that funny. So then there's like a wind blow or something hit his window, and he looked out the window because now he's spooked, and she sees nothing out there, so he goes to bed. And next thing you know, he the next day alarm goes off, and he's walking, and you can tell he's changed because there's a shot. So there was a shot in the beginning when he gets out of bed. They show his legs, and he has really beefy legs. When he gets up at this point, he gets up and he's got really skinny legs, and you know something's changed. He looks in the mirror, and he's legit like he's an actual 13-year-old. Like he actually looks his age. He was really small, really short and scrawny. Now all his clothes are like really big on him, and what's this? Okay. I thought that was something. So yeah, he's just like really. He's weak now. Like he's weak like everyone else. Like the people he picked on. So the roles reversed. So the first thing that happens, he tries that BS he does every day with the flowers, and the grounds lady was having none of that crap. She grabbed him and was like, "Hey." He's like, "Do I know you?" He's like, "I do know you. You're Trevor Larkin." And she goes through a whole thing like, "Look, you've been tormenting us in this whole town for years, and it's time to get it's time to get what you got coming to you." And that creeped him out because it's like, oh no, because she was getting ready. I don't know. She's about to beat him with the damn the little small shovel you use for gardening. And she breaks away. He breaks away and runs into the traffic this time. And this time it's like they stop and they actually get mad at him for running into traffic. And then he runs past the guitar guy, and he runs towards the mail lady who's dropping off mail. And he's freaking out like, hey, I need your help, I need your help. And she looks at him and is like, hey, Don knows you too? And it's like, yeah. And then the painter guy's like, yeah, we know you. That guy, I know who that guy is. That's Trevor Larkin. Like, oh yeah, you did look familiar. And like all the freaking adults, like everyone catches up to him. So you got the guitar guy, you got the painter, the mail lady, you got the grounds lady. They all about to whip his butt. And the next thing you know, he runs the school, and everyone's looking at him like, what happened to him? He's like, that guy, he's weak and scrawny now. And everyone's looking like, what happened? Like, what the hell happened to him? And the kid, right? Remember the kid with the broken nose? He walks up to him and confronts, like, hey. He's like, and he's really upset at this point, and as he should be, because remember what I said earlier about the job in the house. So apparently in Larkinville owns everything. They own the job that the mom was working at. They own the apartment complex that they were living in. So not only did he break his nose for no reason, his mom lost her job, and they got evicted. And so I forgot to bring this up. That night before he went to sleep, they were having dinner with the dad. And remember I said the dad, in comparison, is not that bad. I understand his motive. I understand the way he thinks. You either got to be the big dog. You either got to be the lion. You either are going to be the lion, or you're going to be the gazelle. He says it differently. He's like, in this world, you're either the boot that stomps, or you're under the boot. Which I get that mentality to a degree, but you got to still treat people with this go down. Oh my god! You still got to treat people with decency, basic common decency, though. You know what I'm saying? And they don't show the dad. The dad. Well, I guess he's. Well, I guess in a sense he's kind of bad, because he did say it was an actual line. He was like, "Yeah, remember that lady that tried to get you expelled? Like, yeah, well, guess what? Yeah, I got her fired, and I threw all her furniture out on the front porch." I'm like, damn, like really? That's enough for you to do all that? That's crazy. Like, come on, bro, that's petty. And you can tell don't nobody really like him. They just, because he has all that power. Even like his little girl toy, his girlfriend, you can tell she really don't care for him, because she walked at the dinner table. He walked over and tried to give her a kiss, and she wanted no part of that kiss. She was like, no. And he was like, oh, what's wrong? Oh, I don't want you to get my makeup smudged. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, you just look. You're a gold digger. It's all right. You're what we call it, sugar baby. Hey man, do your thing. And then they want to get like, and I know she was just playing it for show, but they were all acting like all lovey dovey and stuff across the table. I'm like, stop it, bruh. Stop it. Anyway, we get back to the school, and yeah, it's like pretty much everything turned on him. Like all the people that were picking on him, and it was pretty much the whole school, even the teachers. They all get him into like a corner against the wall, and they just like kind of cave in on him so he can't run. And like it seemed like it was gonna be like a mass like town execution. Like they were about to curb stomp him into oblivion. But then Evan Berger comes in and saves the day. Like, he's like, yo, y'all need to calm down. Like, treating him like this is no better than how he was treating y'all. And I was thinking, like, I understand, I get that. You can't become the bully. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference between defeating the bully and saving people, and then becoming the bully. You don't want to become your tormentor, which is essentially what this story is about. And also, you got to stand up for yourself, regardless of what happens. Like, especially like in, have you ever been like, if you went to any kind of public, any kind of school, period, there was always those situations where it's like, look, you don't start the fight, but you finish the fight, right? And there's always this weird thing that happens when you defend yourself, you get in trouble. It's a weird thing. I see that this happens all the time. People will get mad at you for defending yourself. That is so weird. That's so weird. I'm just supposed to let them hit on me and don't do nothing. I can see if you're gonna reprimand them, but you don't. That's the problem. You don't reprimand these people. So we got to take it into our own hands and defend ourselves. And then when we defend ourselves, then you want to get involved, and then you get mad at us. It's like that stuff happens in like sports all the time. One guy will push somebody or hit them, and then they'll call the penalty on the second guy for defending themselves. It's baffling. I don't know what kind of mentality, especially when you've seen the first hit. I don't get it. Either you're gonna punish both of us, or punish none of us. But yeah, anyway. So anyway, they get out of the situation, and the next thing you know, they go to Evan's house, and he's sitting down, and he's just begging for help. He's begging the grandma, like, please reverse the curse. Like, I've learned my lesson. I'm not gonna do this ever again. And judging from his personality and characteristics, he wasn't gonna, I was hopeful, but there was a good portion of myself that was like, yeah, they're gonna turn him back, and he's not gonna learn any lessons. Like, none of it. Like, there's another lesson that people should learn from this episode. Some people are just not gonna learn. So it is what it is. You gotta be the better man, the better lady, and live right. Because some people are just gonna be. They're just gonna take advantage of situations, and just try to. They'll cross the line all the time. They'll never learn. That's just, some people just never learn. That's just the sad reality. So anyway, they're at the house, and finally, because Evan was like, he does a little nod to the grandma, like, yeah, go ahead, do what you gotta do, reverse it. So she reverses the curse. He was so happy, and she was like, you wake up tomorrow and things will be as they should. Now, she said everything should be as it should, right? Not everything will go back to normal. So you gotta listen to what she said. And I was thinking, the way I was thinking, they were just gonna go back to normal and everything, and nothing was gonna change. And that was like the moral of the story, right? But what happens though is a very little slick twist they did at the end. So when he wakes up the next morning, he's in the big old house, and he runs out the house. He runs out the front gate, but this time the front gate, he didn't notice it because he was so ecstatic to be big and stupid again. There was a big for sale sign that he ran by, and then it said sold when he ran by it, and it changed. The name changed. It went from Larkin, right, to Burger. Okay, so he runs through town square again. He steps on the plant. He steps on the flowers again, but this time he hears a voice. He's like, Trevor, what are you doing? Why would you do this? And he turns around shocked, and it's his dad. His dad is the groundskeeper. He's the groundskeeper now for like the little town square area. And he was shocked and mortified. And he's like, Dad, what are you doing there? He's like, what do you mean? What do you mean what I'm doing? I work here. And he was just perplexed, like, what? And then like a nice little sports car drives by, and in the passenger seat is her dad's is her dad is his dad's like sugar baby, right? Sitting in the front seat. And the guy that's driving the car is the musician dude that was he always the guy that always stood on the corner playing his guitar for change. And he was the one driving in the sports car. So his life got better. I'm assuming he became a successful musician. He got the pretty girl and he drives off. And then the next thing you know, Dad was like, he gives him a pair of the little gardener gloves. He's like, here you go. You got a lot of work to do. And that scene ends just him screaming, and it does it is a shot to like a big wide shot of the whole town, and there it was like, hey, even to this day, no, he said, legend says you can hear his scream 3 towns over. And the next thing you know, they flip the scene, and it goes to Evan, and Evan is essentially the cool popular kid, but he did it the right way. He treated people right. He had no issue with no one. He didn't treat nobody wrong. He was just a nice, likable guy, and essentially, his family ends up owning the town. So, like instead of Larkinville High, it's Burgerville High. Instead of Larkinville the town, it's Burgerville the town. So, yeah, and that's how the episode ends. He walks into the school, and everyone's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And he's just everyone's cool with him. They ain't got no problems. Everyone's living a happy life, and the narrator at the end says, on that day, the town became a little bit nicer and a little bit more peaceful, and I think he said something else, but to that effect. But and then that's how the episode ends. So this episode, like I said, this was probably one of the worst episodes. Not because of what the story was, but because Trevor is a horrible human being. And I understand that's what he's meant to be. But he is like on that level, like it's one thing to be like a horrible person. But there's always a force that's supposed to go against that. There should never just be a person like that should never just be able to run wild like that. Now, it happened for a while until the grandma showed up. But but it was like, there's usually supposed to be some kind of force. Like somebody's at least supposed to put some kind of pressure on them before you get the main person to come in and actually save the day. But they just let him run Rockshaw for half the episode. Like I said, also the part with the guy that played the bully Trevor. That guy was not 13, bro. That was just stop playing. Stop playing with me, bro. You could have found a real tall 13-year-old to play that role. It's possible. You can find him. That was just weird. I'm also the part where when Evan said, "I wouldn't do that if I was you. You're gonna regret it, right?" I'm glad they didn't go down the route of using his disability as like a revenge tactic. You know what I'm saying? I actually really appreciate they didn't do that, because they really could have went down the route like, oh, well, hey, you hit a cripple, essentially. I was like, don't go down that route. Don't use him don't make him a victim because he has one leg. Because he was the only person that stood up for himself. The guy with one leg stood up for himself. No one else in that whole town He comes in day one and is like, "No, man, you need to calm. You need to sit down somewhere and calm down. You're not gonna bully me." Shoot. Now, some people would say, "Well, oh, well, his grandma got involved." Yes, she did, but at least the boy put up a fight. The thing with the kid that got his nose broken is his mom came in and the boy never had a chance to fight for himself. Now he fought him. He got physical with him at the end, but at that point they were on the same level. At that point, um, but I'm really glad they didn't do that with him. They actually had him stand up for himself, like because we got to be real. When you get out into the world, don't nobody care about your disability. They really don't. I'm gonna be honest. People are like, "Oh, I got a disability and all that." Most people don't care about that. Let's be real. Unless you have some kind of major disability, no one cares, bro. You're bipolar, no one gives a damn. You got ADHD, ADD, no one gives a damn. Let's be real. No one cares about that crap. Oh, I got uh I got Asperger's. So I don't really understand social cues that well. Guess what? If you're wrong, if you have a what do you call it? If you have like a episode, not episode, but you have a scenario where something's going down and you don't pick up on that social cue, depending on who you're dealing with, they're not gonna care about that. I'm being honest with you, bro. Some of y'all gotta understand that stuff may work when you're younger. When you get out into adulthood, people have very little sympathy for that stuff. So you either gotta learn to deal with it, or just don't go out into the world. That's the one thing I don't like about social media. Sometimes people use disabilities as like a crutch to be protected, and that's not real life. Because a lot of people like it's not real life, but like a lot. You go off Twitter, right? It seems like everyone has some kind of autism on Twitter, and there's nothing wrong with it. If you have autism, it is what it is, bro. That's just a genetic thing. You can't help that. It is what it is. But it seems like some of them do that as a shield to, one, not get talked about, or two, to have some kind of fallback in case they get essentially the metaphorical taste slapped out their mouth. Because all these people that say they have autism, they don't have autism on, because we all know autism is a spectrum. But a lot of these people are grown adults, and you know damn well they don't have autism to that degree where it's like it's legitimately noticeable. There are people out there that have autism that is very noticeable. They have autism. A lot of people, it seems like on social media, they have they're on the very, very low end of autism, where they are fully functioning human beings, and they like to use it as a crutch to say and get away with stuff and act like the rules don't apply to them. No, because these same people, I know they go to clubs, I know they go to bars, they go to big events with a lot of people, right? And I know they don't act like this in these settings because, like I said, most people do not care that you have if it ain't something they can't see, they're not gonna know, they're not gonna care. So if you go in there acting wrong, and then you come out the next day talking about you had autism, they're not gonna care. If that's on you because you acting wrong and acting like you don't know the rules. So I'm just saying, some of y'all gotta stop doing that. It's a very weird way to live, bro. Stop living like you some kind of victim. You gotta live with this your whole life. You gotta deal with this, bro. You gotta man up, lady up, and yeah, take your punches like like a man or lady and keep on moving. Ain't nobody in this world gonna save you, bro. But yeah, anyway, I went on a tangent. Um, yeah, like I said, I'm glad they did disability. I don't like to say representation, but like they had a guy that represents a group of people, and he treated him like a human being. They did him right, so I'm happy for that. Other than that, it's a good little story. Like I said, it's on the lower end, just because of there's just so much in that episode. It's just it's so much of it in this so much stuff in this episode is very exaggerated, and you're like, well, Dante, this is a R.L. Stein. It's based on an R.L. Stein book. Yes, I know, but even then, like some of the stuff he does in this is like, there's no way you're getting away with all this in one day. He does all this in one day. It's impossible. The stuff he did before he even got to school, there's no way he wouldn't have been stopped by somebody. All right, I'm gonna leave it at that. Cause I'm done with this. I need to move on to the last episode, which is a much better episode. So episode 8 is the treehouse. So essentially, there's a young kid. His name's Sam, and his dad passed away like a year ago. And his dad was a very big comic book fan, right? So he's been saving up this money for a while. He goes to the comic shop and buys his dad's favorite comic, mint condition too. So him and his friend, they go in there, buy the comic, boom, got a nice old comic. It's probably like a 9.95. I don't know how they do the comic. I've seen a lot of comic book guys, and they talk about mint condition stuff, like in cards too. So apparently, like a 10 is perfect. Anything between like a 9 and 9.5 is really good. But like if you hit 10, that's a perfect copy. The only way real talk, the only thing to really get something mint condition, when you'd have to get it straight from the like a factory, like it would have to touch like no one except like I guess the machinery in the factory. Like I don't know how that works, because everything that gets shipped out touches multiple people's hands. I don't know how that works with collectors. But anyway, so they're leaving the comic shop, and there's always the bullies, these guys that pick on them. And this is one part of the episode that really irks me. He spent all this time, all this money for this comic book, and the bullies walk up to him. They make it very clear, just from their demeanor, what they're there to do to him. They see you just came out the comic shop. They see that nice looking comic that you just took out the plastic, and you know they're going to do something to you. So they walk up to him, and they're about 2 feet away from him, right within snatching distance of that comic. So he has the comic, and it's already taken out the package, and they snatch it. First of all, the minute them guys showing up, either y'all gonna scrap or you gonna run just to save the comic. Cause I understand, like in that situation, any other situation, I'd be like, whatever, you gotta square up and fight. But in that case, I'm like, I can't really destroy it. I can't really risk destroying this comic because this is my dad's favorite comic. I spent so much money. I bought this literally for him as like a momentum to remember him by. So he let the boy take it, and he throws it into a damn puddle. Now it's bad enough you let him snatch it out your hand, but then he threw it in the puddle. The minute he threw it into the puddle, at that point, that's when y'all gotta. It's 2 of y'all there too. So I think it was the bully, and it was like 2 other guys with him. 2 on 3, y'all still got some chance. You don't have the odds, right? It's 2 on 3, but it's a better chance. It ain't like it's 1 on 3. It's 2 on 3. You got a chance. That's one thing I don't like. That's one thing about these kids, these young adult kids movies and TV shows. They don't really. They go the pacifistic route of like kind of just let it slide and try to be the better human being. But there are exceptions to that rule. You paid I don't know how much money for that comic, probably hundreds of dollars, right? Or good port, not hundreds of dollars, probably I don't know 70, 80, 90, probably $100 for that comic because probably mint condition. Or who knows? He probably more than that. Like I said, someone has a lot of money for that comic, right? The fact that you bought it for your dad, um, the fact that they did what they did to that comic is downright disrespectful. Like I said, any other situation, if you had just bought a comic and they took it and did the same thing, that's still disrespectful. They still deserve their face beaten in for that. But like you can kind of get away with that and let it slide. The fact that it was for your dead dad, right? That you bought that comic specifically for your dead dad. All bets are off. Um, because that is just the highest form of disrespect. You destroy now. To be fair, he doesn't know what it's for. All right, but the minute he thought it, he could be like, "Hey man, that was for my dad, dude. Why would you do that?" And then depending on what his answer is, do you act accordingly? But I don't know that just that hurt me, man. That's just that. Oh my god, that's just horrible, bro. Jeez, man. So anyway, after that happens, he goes into the treehouse in his backyard that him and his dad built. But they never finished the. For some reason, they never. No, he passed away before they finished the full treehouse, so the roof was never completed. So he goes up there one night, which is it's very stupid. He stays up there anyway in a stormy night. So it's a bad storm, uh, torrential downpour, thunder and lightning. You're in a tree. That is a recipe for disaster, my dude. So he's in there, and the water starts leaking through, and it's starting to mess up the comics. And he's like, "Oh man, I can't do this again. I can't have any more wet comics." Whatever, understandable. The fact that he's trying to patch up the roof that y'all never finished, and do all that in a rainstorm, and then the comic what he was reading, it was like flying around in the treehouse, and they got stuck to the wall. So he's trying to block cut off the hole where the water's dripping, and try to get the comic on the wall while he's standing on the little itty bitty comic crate, which those things are not that durable. They're really not meant. They are not meant for standing on. So he's trying to do three things at once. He's trying to balance himself on one foot, get the comic from flying out the window, and trying to plug the leak. And next thing you know, boom! And the freaking lightning strikes the treehouse, and it just collapsed. And at that point, you know that boy is dead. So the next thing you know, he wakes up, and he's in the everything's fine. He wakes up, um, like he survived the injury. He survived the fall. I don't know, because it's a deep fall. Anyway, he survived. He goes downstairs and he see this lady, and the lady is not his mom. It's a completely different person. And then this dude pops in, who's supposed to be his dad, and it's not his dad. So then he freaks out, and he runs. Essentially, he's in a completely different house. So essentially, he runs back to where his original house is, and he runs in and he sees his mom, but the mom has no idea who he is because essentially he's in a different alternate timeline where he's not his parents. He's not his parents' kid, but there's also in this universe his dad is alive. So, Once he finds that out, they have a he runs into the house and they're like, "Are you okay, son?" It's like, I'm your kid," and they're like, "What are you talking about, boy?" All right, so you want me to call some? I call the police so we can help you find your parents. And he's like, no, he runs out the house, and the next thing you know, he uh he runs to his friend's house, and his friend has no idea, or his friend no. So what happens? So when he woke up from sleep, he looks around his room. He's like, "This isn't my room," obviously because he's in a different house. But like his room is very like he got like trophies and like all his soccer memorabilia like posted up in the wall, the jerseys and pictures. And he has a picture on his dresser. Is a picture of him and in the in the neighborhood bully. They're apparently they're teammates in this universe. They're teammates on the soccer team, right? And so he runs to his best friend's house, and his best friend, when he has his best friend, "Hey, do you know who I am?" And he's like, "Yeah, I know who you are." He's like, "Oh, thank God." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "What? You're not done tormenting me? You got to torment me at school too? Now you got to come to my house?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, well, you and I forgot the bully's name, but you and the bully, y'all pick on me every day." I'm like, "What are you talking about? We're not friends." He's like, "Oh, really?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "But yeah, y'all seem like it. Y'all play soccer together. Y'all hang out all the time." He's like, "What are you talking about?" So anyway, so his friend's about to shut the door on him. He stops him, and then he does the old trope they do when like amnesia, with like not amnesia, when people end up in like weird timelines and people don't know who they are. But then they do the thing where they start listing off stuff that only that person would know about that other person, and then he's like, "Holy crap, you really are from another dimension, another timeline." And so they sit down in the house, and they're like, "Oh, well, maybe I guess you are real." Like, what happened? It's like, well, I was in the treehouse, and the treehouse collapsed, and I fell down, and I ended up here. He's like, "Oh, well, I guess maybe if you do everything in reverse, you get back, you build the treehouse again, and you wait for a storm to hit, and maybe you'll travel back, right?" So it's like, okay, cool. So we got to find out where the dad works. The dad works at like a lumber field, a lumber yard, and they sneak in because the dad's still skeptical about him, and then the dad catches him sneaking around the lumber yard, and um, the dad was like, "All right, hey, look, why do you keep following me?" He's like, "Look, you're my dad." He's like, "Okay, cool. I'm about to call the police." Okay, and then he starts spouting off stuff about the dad that only he would know because it's his dad, and he's like, "Really?" And it's like, he's like, "Look, I just need your help. I just need your help building this treehouse so I can get back home." And he's like, "All right, fine. Tomorrow afternoon, come over to the house." And it's like, "All right, cool." So he comes to the house. He goes to the house, and his mom and dad are there. They're trying to help him, get the measurements for the treehouse set. And the mom's still skeptical, as she should be, because like this random kid just comes up to you and Jesus says we're his parents, and she was like, "Are you sure about this? You sure he's not lying?" He's like, "Look, he knew stuff about me that only I would know." It's like, yeah, it's true. And she was on like, well, maybe I don't know, maybe found out about it. And then I was thinking to myself like, not really. I mean, you Google has made it seem like you can just look up anybody. You can look up any. Google makes it seem like you can look up information on anything and anybody. That's not the case. Google allows you to look up stuff and information about people and things based on the information that's available. So, I guess for me, example, um, if you were to search my name, there's only going to be so much information about me because I really don't have much of information. I really don't have much information about myself that you can really. I've Googled myself before. There's really nothing. Is there really anything out there on Google about me? Not really. I mean, you could probably find my face, but that's about it. It'll probably lead you to my. It'll probably lead you here. I guess it's probably because I made so many videos now. Probably if you do like a picture. What do you call that thing? Like a picture search. Probably all my videos will probably show up. But that I mean that's about it. You can only search up with. You can only find out what you need about a certain thing based on the information that exists. So if it doesn't exist, you're not gonna be able to search it up. People think you can just Google search anything and find out anything. That's not how that works. Um, but anyway, so then he's like, yeah, but he knows so much about me that stuff that I would only know real personal stuff, and she's still a little skeptical. But anyway, they go to the lumberyard, they start getting the wood they need, start getting the tools, supplies, and they go on like this whole like montage of just hanging out like they're actually family. It was very very cute. They had lunch, then they had ice cream, and then him and his dad went and hung out at the comic book shop. Like stuff they used to do before he passed, type stuff. It was really really cool moment, very cute moment. Um, and so then they get back and it's time to start building the treehouse. So they start building the treehouse and everything's going fine. They're getting the measurements together, and then he has he has like an episode. So throughout the episode, no pun intended, he has these episodes where like his head start hurting, and that's because, what happens is like the reality he's in starts glitching out. So to go from like a normal, like everything's normal, and then next thing you know, it'll glitch, and for like a few seconds, it'll show like a barren wasteland of what that area would look like if it was like destroyed, right? Like everything's like very like yellow and bleak, like a thing like in a post-apocalyptic setting, where like the world, like the end of the world type stuff, and that's how the neighborhood and like wherever he was would look like. And then he was explaining to his friend, hey man, he's like every time I'm out there, like I just randomly get like these weird glitches and visions of like the world is destroyed. And his friend was like, well, there's maybe like like in the comics, if you spend too much time in this timeline, you may end up stuck here and you'll never be able to leave type thing, because he's messing up like the fabric of essentially reality. Now when I was watching it, I kind of figured out what it was when that happened. So essentially, I mean, just to let you know why it was happening. What I figured out when he fell, it was very apparent. I was like, bro, that's your brain telling you your brain is shutting down, bro. You're in a coma. That's exactly what happened. He's in a coma because he fell. That's I kind of figured that out when he fell. When everything woke up, like alternate timeline, no one remembers you. My first thing went to my mind is he's in a coma, right? So, he had a second glitch, like right before. So he had two glitches. He had a glitch at the very beginning when he was running through the neighborhood, and then he had the second glitch when he was building the treehouse with his dad. So his dad touched the back of his head, like in a loving manner, like when your dad or your mom. My dad would do this. Back of your head, like real like love and tender type jump. And like the minute that happened, snap, and like his brain went to overdrive, and he passed out the second time. He's like, holy crap! And then he explains to his dad what's been going on. He's like, oh, he's like, son, look, man, you gotta, if this is happening, it's not good for you. You gotta go home. And they finally finish the treehouse, this time with the roof. And the dad asked him, hey, how come we never finished the roof? He's like, oh, 'cause he couldn't bear to tell him the truth. So he's like, yeah, we just stopped caring about it. We didn't really care about it. We just lost interest in it. And so they get to the day of, they're almost finished, and they show the sky a couple times, like of the incoming storm, and the mom is the first one to notice, like it looks like the storm's coming, and so they're like, it must be tonight. And then about like a few hours before nightfall, they look up again, and the clouds are getting closer. They're getting darker and heavier. And then the night of, uh, it's the night of the of the storm. They're all sitting in there, and he's decorating the treehouse, and um, he's like, maybe if I make it look like what it looked like in the other dimension or the other timeline, maybe it'll help. You know what I'm saying? Which I guess sci-fi lore. You're essentially you're supposed to do when stuff like when it comes to time travel and like interdimensional travel. You have to make everything essentially line up with what happened in the beginning. You're supposed to retrace your steps essentially. Like if you've seen perfect example, if you've seen Back to the Future, right? The way he travels to 1955 is the same way he has to travel back to 1985. It's like that. So he's in there. They're getting everything up, and then the friend comes in one more time. He gives him this cool little action figure. It's a cool gesture, but I mean they don't know that he's in his own mind. It's all a fragment of his imagination. He's not in a different timeline. He's in a coma. So he gives him the cool little collector's item. They hug it out. They say their goodbyes. The mom goes down, says her goodbyes, and then it's just him and the dad. And they're sitting down, and the dad starts getting curious. You said something happened to me, or like you said I'm not there anymore. He's like, what happened to me? And then he kind of gets hesitant. He's like, well, well, a year ago there was an accident. He's like, and the dad stopped and he's like, no, don't tell me how it happens. I don't want to know. And then they had their final goodbyes, and after that, the storm hits and whatever happens. I guess it was the lightning hits again in the treehouse, and the next thing you know, you hear the little life monitor, the beep beep, that sound, and he's in the hospital, and he finally wakes up, and the mom sees like, oh my god, he's up, and yeah, after that, he survived the fall. I'm very surprised though. All that happened. He was in a mini coma, and he walked away. He walked away with like a cast on like his forearm, like from like forearm to about like right here. So the cast like pretty much covered like the good portion of his fingers, right? So like about right here, if you see it like about right here, and it went all the way down to like his elbow. So the fact that he fell out of a treehouse in the middle of a rainstorm, a pretty big rainstorm, thunder and lightning, and remember the treehouse collapsed. Like it became just it's just nothing but pieces of plywood at the bottom of that tree, and that's all that happened to him. That's all. That's the extent of his injuries with a broken arm, or like a broken forearm. Are you kidding? Come on, bruh. That's wild. That's crazy. That's ridiculous. You would think he broke, at least at the minimum, broke his leg, because he did fall. He fell out of a tree. Let's be real. Like I don't, especially just the amount of stuff that fell on him, or the stuff he fell on. You would think he'd have more serious injuries, but You know, he just got that cast on his forearm, and he's walking around, and he's cool. That's, I guess, sure. But anyway, so he goes out there the next day, and he looks up at the tree, and he looks at the debris, and he's looking at the debris, and the mom walks out, and I guess, and then he finally, so he finally, I guess he finally, with the premonition and just like everything that happened in his mind, he finally came to the realization that, hey man, my dad's gone, but I still got the memories of him. You know, he's always gonna be here with me. But we do have to move on, and that was one thing the mom said at the beginning, because everything was happening, and he just wouldn't talk to his mom. It's like, well, dude, that's all you got. That's the only person you got left, bro. Is your mom. Like you gotta be real and talk to her. She's trying to help you out. You know what I mean? She wants you to confide in her. Don't push her away, bro. And that's something he had to learn throughout the episode. And it's also about like grief and loss. Like if you had a chance to get a loved one back, knowing it's going to destroy you, would you do it? And a lot of people would say yes, but then the loved one would be like, it's also like, look, we don't. I know you want me back, but like, not if it's gonna go to this extreme. And it's like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, it makes sense. Like sometimes you gotta let people go, bro, because sometimes holding on to that, it's not good for your psyche, and it just makes it just makes living, hard sometimes, So yeah, at the end of the episode, he's looking at the tree and he's like, "Hey, mom, you wanna help me rebuild this?" And she was at that point, she was like, "Yeah, I'll help you." And she was finally happy. She was finally truly happy that the boy actually confided. He actually wanted her. He actually wanted her. Well, no, so no, more so. He was able to accept that his mom was there. Like his mom was really there to help him. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of things when kids lose like parents and loved ones early in their life. They kind of like cut themselves off from them instead of taking the help. And then they, down the line, they learn that, look, I only got but so many people left in my life. I can't push away the few people that want to help me. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I like this story. This, like I said, this story is much better than episode 7. Despite, I'm gonna do a ranking at the end, but yeah. First of all, this is a good episode. I like the psychological, like alternate dimension thing going on. But I also like the storyline. I like the plot, and I like the message. Like I said, the only issue I got with this episode is the part with the bully. It's so unrealistic. Because like I said, if it was him by himself, I could kind of let it slide. But no, it's you and your friend. Y'all could have at least jumped him. Like you don't gotta win, but you gotta put some pressure on him. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, I didn't like. This is a very good ending to the season. Now I seen I did a Google search. I was looking for the thumbnail. So apparently there are a lot of short stories in the Just Beyond series. So they could definitely make if they want to, they can definitely make a it's weird, it's not mirrored. I could definitely make they could definitely make a season 2, no doubt. If there's that as much content as I think there is for this series, oh man, they can definitely make a lot of excuse me, they can definitely make another season at least 8 episodes. It should be no problem, bro. I saw one story. I saw one book cover. I was like, what is this? This is creepy. I'm like, hold on, let me see. Just Beyond comic series. There was a. Let me see. Yeah, let me see. What does it say? Just Beyond. I mean, it's a comic series. Yeah, I got Welcome to Beast Island, The Horror at Happy Landings, The Scare School. Bruh, they can make a lot of monstrosity. Like I'm pretty sure they can make another season if they really wanted to. Hell, they can make they want to make it some. If they want to make some like uh like show only exclusive what do you call it like if they want to make like their own stories, right, that are based on the universe but not based on but they're not from the books. You can do that. Why not? It's a horror. It's a comedy horror anthology. As long as it fits the R.L. Stein style, it ain't no issue. But yeah. So that was episode 8, The Treehouse. Very good episode. Very great way to cap off the season. Overall, it's a very good show. Very good little series. I highly recommend watching it. It's on Disney Plus, obviously. Um, but yeah, go ahead and check it out, man. Like like I said, every episode is 30 minutes. So if you were to binge it, if you got like a 4 hour slot one weekend or something, or like a night you got a sleepover, or you just want to have like a little movie marathon, a little TV show binge marathon, whatever. There you go. 8 episodes, 30 minutes apiece. Boom, 4 hours. You, it ain't hard. You can get it done. Or if you want to, like I said, if you want to split it up and watch an episode a day, you be done in a week. You do 2 episodes a day, you be done in 4 days. You find an hour every day to watch 2 episodes. Boom, you be done. They're very quick and easy, simple series. But yeah, so my rankings, I'm going to go from the easiest way. I'm going to do it from least to worst. Least to worst. That don't make no sense. I'm going to do it from worst to best. So I'm going to start at the bottom. Episode 7, definitely the worst episode. Then we're going to go, I think 5, it's a tie between 5 and 6. I might have to go. I didn't really care too much about them, cause like I said, I'm not a theater head. I don't really care much about the theater. I like movies, but I'm not really into like the live action performances. I really don't care about that. But they're also unfiltered. I really didn't. The story. It's a cool little story, but it wasn't all that. But if I had to rank them, I'd go 7, 5, 6. Then I would go. I would go 8, 4, 1. Then I would go 2, and I would go 3, 2. So I would go. So from worst to best episodes, I would go 7, 5, 6, 4, 8, 1, 1, 3, 2. There you go. So that's my ranking for episodes. 2 is the best episode in my opinion. 7 is the worst. Now, like I said, this is also